as a part of the grant project entitled The Boomers Reflecting, Sharing, Learning. From the Institute of Museum and Library Services National Leadership Grant, the Athens Regional Library System, and the Linden House Arts Center held a tour of Jittery Joe's Coffee Roaster, a coffee tasting, and a movie trivia competition.
Jittery Joe started in 1994 down on Washington Street next to the 40 Watt. It was started by two brothers who really wanted to open a bar but weren't old enough. So they opened a coffee shop instead. And at first it was just open at night, so when folks came out of the 40 Watt, they could come into the 40 Watt. Now, people who were underage could come in and have some place to go. And you know, all kind of celebrities would come from the 40 Watt over to Jittery Joe's. At one time, Rolling Stones named it the #1 24-hour coffee shop in the United States because we went from being open just at night to open 24 hours a day. And then he moved from that location to what was the Five Points location where Euphoria is now. And then just a couple years later, I happened to be at a coffee fundraising event at Vero Elementary, sitting next to Charlie, who you'll meet because our children went to school together. It was after September 11th, and my consulting business had collapsed. And I was looking for something to do, and he mentioned that the Five Points store was for sale. But like everybody else in the country, my investments had just tanked, my business had just gone under, you know, and so we borrowed money, credit cards, family, against our house, friends, anybody who was walking slow enough for me to talk to. All right, and we bought first the East Side store, and then we bought the Five Point store, and that's all there was at the time. Now there are 13 stores, full-time roasting location. We sell in all 50 states, not enough, not as much as we would like to, but we do nonetheless sell in all 50 states. We're in Whole Foods in the Atlanta area. Earth Fair just picked us up system-wide. We sell to over 700 bicycle shops because cyclists really love our coffee. Anyways, that's just a little bit of the history of Jittery Joe's. We've been here for almost 15 years. This started as the very first Budweiser distributorship in the state.
Wow.
This was their warehouse, right? It was kind of like on an old rail depot line. So it's been here since the 1920s, and it's been a refrigeration warehouse, a dry goods warehouse, and then they've been our coffee roaster for the last 15 years. And everything you see in here that's not just the outside walls, we did to kind of move it up to where we needed it to be. It is beautiful here right now because the weather is beautiful. But you see that the inside walls and the outside walls are the same thing. So in the summer it is brutal, and in the winter it is freezing. So one of the things that you can ask Charlie about, and he'll be glad to tell you, and he's a true artist, right? He's got a master's in food science, but what he does requires, and the way we do it requires him to see what he is doing, to smell what he is doing, to listen to what he is doing, what's happening to the beans in the roaster, and it kind of be, you know, piloting this machine all at the same time. So differences in temperature and humidity, what temperature the bean starts at, whether it's 105 in here in August or 17 in January, not this January because we didn't have a winter, but most Januaries, has an impact on how he roasts the coffee. And he has to make those decisions like as he's flying the plane, so to speak. Charlie's in the middle of roasting a batch right now. But we come back and join him instead of him coming joining us.
Come out here, this apparatus will turn around and will evenly going over the screen with air coming across to cool it down. Then we'll put the next one in. So if you want, I put some buckets of green coffee in it. Y'all can feel the coffee. Just pick it up, feel how dense it is.
Wow.
They grow on a tree. Coffee grows on a tree in a cherry, and in the cherry are these beans, or the pits inside the cherry. So there's a couple of different ways that they process the coffee, and I'll tell you that in a minute. But this one's getting ready to come out. And the coffee that we're roasting right now is direct trade Nicaragua, which means that we buy it from a farm from people that we know. And so we've been buying this coffee a long time. This is our main base coffee for most of our blends, like Terrapin and Espresso and our house blend and coffee at the grit and the Palmas and all. This is the base. And so when you're roasting coffee, if you're making a blend, you like to have a base that's not too leaning one way with acidity or big body, or just kind of a neutral, sweet, medium coffee that you can add other coffees to accent it and get what flavor profile you want out of it. So I'm going to dump this one in. I'll dump it up here and then open this up and then it'll go into the drum. So I'm putting 30 pounds of coffee in, and we'll get out about maybe 24, 23 pounds of coffee out. The roaster inside the machine was at 430 degrees when this coffee came out. And so I was opening and shutting this to maintain that temperature. So I dumped these in at 430 degrees, but the temperature diving drastically. It'll go down to about 150 degrees, and then it'll level out and start warming back up. So there's two natural gas burners underneath, and they're heating the space around the drum. That's the center of the drum. The beans are turning in there. I can take out samples of this and look at it and watch it develop, but I don't really need to do anything to the coffee for about 8 to 9 minutes, because I have to wait for it to get up to about 300 degrees before the chemistry starts. Then I can also control the airflow and the intensity of the heat depending on the coffee and how much coffee I put in. The coffee I just put in there, that Nicaragua that y'all felt, is very dense, high-grown coffee. But there's another coffee over here. Let me get a scoop of it, let y'all feel it. And this one is from India, and it's a monsoon coffee or a super dried coffee. So what they do is they take these coffees and let the wind blow across it and get all the moisture out of it. So this goes down. Yeah, and it's very light. Yeah. So you can feel the difference between, so this coffee was grown at a high elevation but processed in a different way. So this coffee I would have to roast a lot easier. I wouldn't dump it in at 430 degrees. I let the machine cool down to about 275 degrees, put this in there, and then don't turn the heat all the way up, because what the heat's really doing in there is increasing the temperature of the moisture in the bean up to a certain point, and then all the chemistry starts. So you start making sugars and proteins and all the things that make coffee taste the way it does. If you try to make coffee out of this, it tastes like grass. It's not so good. So there's not as much moisture in this coffee, so you have to just kind of ease it along, and you're still going through the same stages, but in a different way. So that we're going to taste that. And then we're going to take Colombian Supremo full city roast, which means in between a medium roast and a dark roast. So it's going to have a bit of body and be sweet, but it'll have a little roastiness. So you're going to taste that, taste the aged Nicaragua, and then you're going to taste a blend of the two. And it's not a 50-50 blend, it's about an 80-20. 20% of the aged Nicaragua and 80% of the Colombian. So this is the aged natural Nicaragua. Yeah, so taste that. Once you drink that, tasted it, come back and I'll give you some Colombian. Try that one. That's the aged natural Nicaragua. So it's the smaller component of the blend that you'll taste in a little bit. So they let it dry down to a raisin, and then they let it sit for months and then hull it. Whereas the other one that I did, they pick the cherries and break them in this big vat and then let them ferment with microbes, and then which gets all the pulp off, and then they dry the beans. So that's a wash process. The natural process is letting it dry down to a raisin and then hulling it once it's all dry.
So what level did you roast this?
Well, this is, you saw on there, if you looked at the bag, it said a long roast and then a short roast. I did the aged natural two different ways, and this is a blend of those two. All right. You taste the funkiness in that aged one?
Yeah.
Yeah. But fresh this year. Yeah, and then this is Colombian.
This is the blend of the Columbia Supreme
And the age. Yeah, so about 20% of the age in there. So now you know what the age tastes like.
Thank you all for playing trivia. Madeline, thank you for doing Boomers in Athens.
Eddie made up this game for us, so let's give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Who starred in both Chinatown and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Was it A, Jack Nicholson, B, Warren Beatty, C, Dustin Hoffman, or D, Al Pacino? Anybody need one repeated? No? Good. Let's move on. Who played the young lady rescued by Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver? Was it A, Tatum O'Neal, B, Jodie Foster, C, Brooke Shields, or D, Sybil Shepherd? What did Richard Dreyfuss's character do in the movie Jaws? Was he A, an oceanographer, B, a shark hunter, C, a politician, or D, a commercial fisherman? 4. Why was Cool Hand Luke in jail in the first place? A, armed robbery, B, cutting the heads off chickens, C, cutting the heads off parking meters, or D, running moonshine? Ha-ha, a little harder, isn't it? Laugh at that one. Matt Hooper's occupation, he was A, an oceanographer. A. And finally, number 5, who starred in both One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Chinatown? The answer is A, Jack Nicholson. All right, who now has 15 points? Because if you do, you picked up too many points in this last round. Nobody had 10, and now you got 15. You're cheating. Or you're bad at math. All right, who has at least 30 points? All right. How many points?
30.
30.
33.
33. Our winner, stand up and tell us your name.
Carol Jones.
Carol Jones. Big round of applause for Carol Jones.
A 1 gigabyte thumb drive from Boomers.
All right. Who came in second?
Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen. Round of applause.
She gets Boomers.
All right. Who had at least 29 points? 29, 28, 28, 27, 26, 26 points. Our winner is
Mark.
Mark. Big round of applause for Mark.
All right, there you go.
25 points for Stacy. Did anybody wind up with 0? My wife wound up with 0.
Negative.
A negative number.
Negative.
How far do we go with this, Madeline? Because we really shouldn't be rewarding losers.
Everybody who played can get a prize.
Out of the crappy prize
prize box. Even if you already won a thumb drive. It's part of our Boomers Reflecting Sharing Learning, which is a program for the Linden House Art Center and Athens Regional Library, given to them by the Institute of Museum and Library Services to explore new ways to deliver arts and library programming. Our website is called boomersinathens.org. And it's aimed toward baby boomers, but it's supposed to benefit the entire community. The only little caveat about baby boomers is that they suggest what goes on. But everybody can come to everything.
For more information about the Boomers Reflecting Sharing Learning Grant Project, visit our website at boomersinathens.org or call the IMLS Program Coordinator at 706-613-3650, extension 343.